Hello everyone. So this was posted on the web dev subreddit a couple of days ago. Should you be lying on your CV/resume? Now my gut tells me no, but let's get into the comments more on the rest of the post. So I'm a front-end developer with years of experience using Vue and other UI libraries at my 9 to 5 jobs. I've got loads of experience using React in my personal projects, but whenever I'm applying to React jobs, they want to only count 9 to 5 experience. They don't care about my personal projects. Shall I just change Vue experience to say I was using React? It's the same thing. I would say it's not quite the same thing, but I feel like this is more stretching the truth. This is not a full-on lie, and I think this would be completely fine. I wouldn't have a problem with that at all. And also, to be honest, in general, lying just fundamentally it comes down to, do you have the skills to do what the job wants you to do? Let me know your thoughts below. But anyway, let's get into some comments as we like to do. So, extensive experience with front-end JS frameworks, including Vue and React. This is the way to do it, because this way you're not even lying. To be honest, I felt like they weren't really lying anyway. Let's go on to the next one. To be honest, people lie in their resumes a lot. And a lot of this, how you can fake it till you make it. Absolutely. I have interviewed people and seen the opposite, though. The thing is, no one can verify really anything you say, right? For the most part. Sure, there's references and stuff. But I once interviewed someone who claimed they had 15 years of experience in Python, and they couldn't even write a for loop. It was really painful. I really tried to help them through the interview, but yeah, they didn't get hired. Yeah, the reality is you can lie on your resume or stretch the truth as long as you know you can do it. If you're going to be a fraud, don't be a fraud, then I would probably recommend you don't lie, because it's just going to cause you a world of hurt. Unless you're like working in a place where they just forget that you exist. But realistically, that's probably not going to happen. Don't lie, embellish. Good word. Like, there's a big difference. We sort of talked about this. Using inaccurate methodology to overstate the results you were responsible for at your last position. Oops, I'm just bad at math. Saying you went to college and obtained a degree when you did not. Possible jail time. Yeah, you definitely shouldn't straight out lie about stuff like that. But to be honest, let's say if you're just someone who's worked on a project in your personal time and you've even deployed it to production, I don't see the problem in saying that you did that at work, as an actual job. And then you can still talk about the experience without actually having to completely lie. You still did the work. They're just being unreasonable, in my opinion. Uh, the reason people often care about it being in 9 to 5 jobs is because it is slightly different. There's more significant meaning when something breaks, or you're having to work with lots of people. It's a bit different. So using an accurate methodology yeah, we read that. Saying you oversaw more employees in a leadership position than you actually did, well, that just depends on how you calculate it. Very true. You could sort of, no comment there, but yeah, again, you can stretch the truth. Again, I think fundamentally it comes down to, can you do it? Do you actually have the skills? Or are you lying and you actually can't do this and we're going to hire you and you're not going to be able to do your job? I think if you come in, this is like nepotism. This is my opinion on nepotism. Nepotism is only bad if they can't actually do the job. It's like when Michael Scott hires his nephew or something and he's just absolutely terrible. That's bad. But if they can actually come in and do the job and do it well, I don't even have a problem with nepotism. It's the same about lying. If you can actually do it, who cares? Who cares? You don't want to work there. What do you mean personal projects is not experience? It's a tool. I know the tool. Ask me and I will show you. Yes, especially if they're talking about technical things. If you're having an interview and they're asking you specific things about React or Vue, as long as you can answer it, again. Sorry, I feel like a lot of these answers are going to be the same, but you know how it is. And I feel like companies are caring less about like traditional, as long as you can actually do it. I feel like that's a big thing. Even with, I know everyone hates them now apparently, but SpaceX used to be like this. You didn't actually even need or Tesla, whatever, as long as you could actually do the thing, they didn't really necessarily care about your credentials. Typically speaking, though, if you have good credentials, you're probably at least quite good at what you do. Companies do too, so why not? By the way, if you're still here, leave a like. That would help me a lot, and subscribe if you want to see more of this type of content. Thank you very much. So can you explain when to use and not use the standard React hooks? Can you explain the rendering lifecycle? If so, then you're probably fine. And to be honest, in the most recent project I joined, I got asked some React specific things I didn't know the answer to, and I still got it, and I've been really good, been fine. I think as long as you can demonstrate that you're someone that can learn quickly, which I definitely think I am, then usually you're okay. You could tweak your resume so it doesn't quite lie. Yeah, we've covered that. Don't lie on your resume. Find job openings that aren't fake. You know, I want to cover this in some video in the future. I've heard a lot of people talking about these fake job openings, and I definitely believe that, but I want to find some way to actually investigate this. I guess I would have to apply, which I don't really want to do. Quite comfortable in my job. I don't know. I'll have to have a think about that. Maybe there's some sources. Maybe there's an article we can read. Any employer who puts up strict rules like experience on personal projects don't count isn't being serious. Yeah, this is probably written by a non-technical person. I think you need to have the technical people doing the interview. Probably the best way to do it. Like, what does this even mean? Experience on personal projects don't count. Like, oh, it's not real work. And you know, they've actually, I think your brain doesn't change depending on whether you do work for a personal project or a real work project. Isn't being serious. Either they don't really want to fill that position, in which case there's no point applying, or they're completely clueless, in which case you don't want to work for them. I wouldn't agree on that because that could be one individual who's literally responsible for that. I think it's difficult to gauge. The best thing to do is just to try and speak to some people at the company, see what the culture's like. If I were hiring for a front-end job and we were using React, I'd take a solid candidate with a couple of years of professional front-end experience and a bunch of personal projects in React over someone who's done a year of professional React work. The other thing is, like, when you're doing something in a professional capacity, sometimes it can be more simple than a personal project, because I feel like often the purpose of a personal project is to sort of extend your skills. Whereas often if you're just the type of developer that does no work except their job, completely fine, by the way. But it's like you're probably just doing the minimum amount because you've got deadlines. So you're not really learning, you're just using your skills you currently have to do the job. So you could argue that people working on personal projects could have more skills. Of course, it always depends. Forget to upvote. It's disheartening seeing this advice so far below others recommending that they lie. But this is Reddit. I've not seen too many comments talking about lying. But you know, there's like relationship advice subreddits, and you just have crazy Redditors who are saying, oh yeah, you should leave this person that you've been married to for 5 years. That's like the first thing people say. And it's like, you have no idea what you're talking about. Not that I like those subreddits, but you know, sometimes you can't help but pop up on your feed. It's shameful, and it's why people like me make devs jump through so many tests before getting hired. If OP can pass the tests, it's not a lie. If they can't, it's a lie that will be quickly exposed and they will lose any chance at working with that company in the future. I don't mind you making people jump through hoops, right? But it's a bit of a red flag sometimes. I worked somewhere where it was 5 stages of interviews. By the end, you know, you want to get the job, but you know, I had to build a Django web application, and then I had a technical interview. Well, no, I had like a logic interview, and then I had to build something, and then a technical interview, and definitely the most toxic place I've worked at. I've always had mixed feelings about like technical tests. I don't like tests which just like test your memory and like do you know specific details about your language, because that's not my strength. My strength is building things, and I sometimes just forget the fundamentals. Not the fundamentals of coding, but like specific implementations. And it sort of vexes me, I suppose, because it's just whether if I was going for interviews, I'd suddenly practice a lot on sort of technical tests, and it's just like because you're practicing, you're getting good at it. But the second you get the job, you stop doing them and you become rubbish at them again. I don't mind generic, broader questions, but specific questions can sometimes be not for me. Let's see. Intentionally lying here is a moral and ethical grey area at best. But we're not Puritans. Your employer will fire you whenever they want for any reason. And the most likely reason this will happen to you is so that they can pay shareholders more. They're using you, so use them. You don't owe any company ethically pure behavior. Lie to them, get the job. This is a Reddit moment? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. The fact that you say it's the same thing is probably evidence that you understand JS concepts behind them and you're sufficient with both. Yeah? And I mean, I agree with this. Some of you guys probably already know my opinions. I don't understand. I think I'm clever sometimes. I just don't understand why there's so many frameworks. I think the best thing to use is whatever, I don't know. Let's just move on. That's like a whole nother bag to unravel. You don't need to straight up lie, but you also don't need to tell your full life story. Answer only the question that was asked. Don't say too much. Saying too much just means you put yourself at risk of saying something that they don't want to hear. I feel like this is fairly solid advice in anything. And this isn't about... Yeah. They might... You have to just assume they're asking you that specific question for a reason. You know? Don't need to go rambling off about a million other things. Although I tend to do that anyway. So I'm a hypocrite. Interviews are basically a he said, she said scenario. The interviewer knows nothing about you personally. Everything you say is taken at face value. That's actually really good advice. You can't chat to them. Think in there like a friend that know you, and know your quirks, and know your habits. You know, you have to... I think the best skill for interviewing is actually being able to read a person, which I would say I'm quite good at. Yeah, I think if you can sort of gauge if they're confused, or if they're interested, or if they're disinterested, that's probably the best way to go. Of course, not everyone has those skills, I suppose. A good way to get those skills is to go through trauma. Companies lie at what? That was a joke. Companies lie... Yeah, why not? Why not use the line front-end engineering technologies? Yeah, someone said that. Just remember, it's not a lie if you believe it. The trick to getting a job is to be delusional. This job has become a real... I guess you're talking about developer jobs? I would, yeah. I mean, I would never lie on a CV. Because it's just not my personality. I would feel uncomfortable. Just get another job. Anything listed on your resume is fair game for an interview to probe you on. Definitely. The way I split up my CV is just like my core skills I'm happy to be talked about, and then these like sort of other skills, and then other examples. I guess that's pretty normal. You're pretty confident in React because you've been working with it in your personal project, but that's kind of a semi-perfect scenario where you're in control of the patterns and implementation, which is great in itself. Yeah, I guess what I said earlier, there is always two ways of looking at this. It's much harder to come in on like a legacy code base and understand it. And that takes a different skill set, I would say, than just to like go and build something. So it's sort of two parts. You could argue, yeah. While I don't agree on, only use examples from an actual 9 to 5 job, I do think, in my experience, it's always been a million times easier to work on my own project than join a company and understand their big code base. So I do think if you've done that and you've come into a legacy sort of code base and you've familiarized yourself with it and then become really good at it, it does show an extra sort of level of skill and maturity. This is probably the same for production enterprise Vue.js apps, but there might, however, be an amalgamation of old class components, blah, blah, blah. Of course, would an employer lie to you? You wouldn't download a job. I don't know who George Constanza is. It's not a lie if you believe it. Be the person who doesn't lie. The local coffee shop needs employees too. I got a job out of uni, but then I wanted to go contracting after a year and a half. I'd actually set up a business 2 years prior while still at uni making software that my dad, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I think we're going to end it there. Let me know your thoughts. Should you lie on your CV? Have you lied on your CV? Or have you just given up on life? And yeah, leave a like, subscribe, and thank you for watching.